might piss people off, but is stock Android overrated? Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about stock Android and just asking the question of, is it overrated or not? So let's get into it. So for the people who are not familiar or, just need a refresher or whatever, stock Android is basically the version of Android that Google themselves make, and it ships in Pixel phones. There are some people that say that the Pixel phones do not have stock Android anymore because Google slightly changed the software and stuff like that. But Pixel OS is widely considered the stock Android version of Android. And now the importance of stock Android is basically that people prefer that version of Android over other versions for different reasons. Some of those reasons could be the bloatware, a bunch of different apps that you don't want on your phone, or maybe even duplicate apps, different animations, or different features that you might not want, or things like that. Stock Android, in terms of its appearance and the way that it works and the animations and stuff like that, it's pretty chill. It's pretty simple. There's not really too much going on in terms of like animations and aesthetic. So a lot of people like that simplistic look and feel of stock Android. So going back to the question, is stock Android overrated or not? The reason why I have this question is because I feel like a lot of people like stock Android, but just because of the name or the fact that it's the popular opinion. The reason why I feel like this is because there are a lot of different versions of Android that have more features than stock Android. And then also there are some things about stock Android that people kind of just ignore, or they just accept because it's stock Android. It's the glorified version of Android. So people are just like, okay, it is what it is. They ignore the shortcomings or the things that it lacks. Like for example, with Google's Pixel OS right now, stock Android, you have two widgets on the home screen that you cannot remove. The first is the at a glance, which is at the top of Pixel devices on the home screen. It shows you like basic information like the weather, the time, stuff like that. And then the second is the search bar, which is at the bottom on the home screen. Those are two widgets that have been on Pixel devices that have been stuck on the home screen. You cannot remove them. You cannot get rid of them. That is something that is just baked into stock Android, and it's just there. Going back to like ancient times, when you think about, iPhones versus Android, the biggest thing that people would say about Android is that they're customizable. There's more freedom and stuff like that. But with Pixel devices, there's not a lot of freedom. You can't really customize your Android device, your Pixel device, how you want to. Technically, you can just download another launcher on a Pixel device and you can customize your phone a lot more with a different launcher. But then when you download another launcher, you cannot use the gestures, swiping and holding to switch apps and stuff like that, back swipes, all that stuff. From time, gestures just don't work on other launchers. So in order to get more customization on your Pixel device, you got to sacrifice such a basic thing. And then on top of that, Pixel devices do not have custom icons. This is something that is like, it's a staple when people think about Android, like customizing your phone. Pixel devices don't have custom icons. Pixel devices can barely use themes. You can't really customize the font. There's just a lot of limitations when it comes to customization. So that's one thing. The other thing is multitasking. Pixel devices, they are Android, so they have split screen, but it's very, very basic compared to other versions of Android. If you want a split screen on a Pixel device, you gotta swipe and hold, go to the top of the icon, press split screen, and then you can only choose from apps that are open. On other versions of Android, you can swipe with two fingers from the bottom to open split screen and then choose an app from your home screen, or it will be a menu of all your apps on your phone, or swipe from the top and do the same thing. And then there's the edge panel on Samsung devices or OnePlus devices. There's so many different ways to get into split screen and multitasking and floating windows and stuff like that. And speaking about floating windows, Pixel devices do not have floating windows. Like, it's a very strange feature to not have on an Android device. And then another thing that people don't really talk about enough on Pixel devices, stock Android, is customizing your home screen. So I already talked about limitations and, the lack of customization options. But when you're customizing your home screen on stock Android, this is not a Pixel device, by the way, but it's trying to be stock Android because they're trying to appeal to a certain kind of people. But customizing your home screen on Pixel devices, you literally have to drag and drop one at a time to customize your home screen. So if you're trying to move, like, let's say 20 apps onto your home screen or put them in a folder, you literally have to do it one at a time. But on other versions of Android, like on Samsung devices or OnePlus devices, you can grab multiple apps at a time and move them very easily. And even iPhones nowadays have a feature where you can tap and hold, and then you can tap other apps and you can drag a bunch of apps all at once. Even iPhones are defeating Pixels when it comes to home screen editing mechanics. And now that iPhones are adding the feature where you can put apps anywhere on your home screen, low-key, Pixels might just lose to iPhones in terms of home screen customization, because iPhones have stacking widgets and they're getting interactive widgets and stuff like that more and more. So Pixels, you're kind of falling behind. Stock Android, the thing that people love so much, it's just lacking a lot of basic features. Another thing that I feel like is a limitation and is kind of overrated on stock Android is the app drawer. So everybody knows what the app drawer is. You know, you swipe up and you can access all the apps on your phone. This is kind of standard on all Android devices, but the thing is Samsung does it different with One UI, and I know a lot of people don't like how Samsung does it, and that's fine. But I feel like the way that Samsung does it should be an option, and it should be standard on all Android devices, all versions of Android. It should be standard to be able to choose between the two options. So option number one is obviously classic. You know, it's just all your apps like this in the app drawer. You can, you know, swipe on the side to go by the letter, and then on some versions of Android you can organize them by, you know, the alphabetical order or by what you use frequently and stuff like that. And then you have your search bar at the top. That's option number one. Option number two is how Samsung does it. Samsung, basically the app drawer is customizable, so you can make folders, you can organize them how you want. Instead of swiping vertically like this with just one long list, it's pages, so you swipe horizontally. I know a lot of people don't like the option on Samsung, but being able to not have any apps on your home screen, but then still have them in folders and customized by like how you use them and different types of apps, in my opinion, that's an invaluable feature, and it just allows so much organization and customization on your phone without even putting it on your home screen, you know, cluttering your home screen with different layouts. So if you're somebody that likes organization, I feel like Samsung does it the best. But yeah, that's just a feature where I feel like it's pretty basic, but it's not on stock Android. Like, it's very limited in terms of what you can do with the app drawer. And then going back to the home screen again, you know, you can edit your home screen, you can change the grid to like a different ratio and stuff like that, but it's very limited in terms of the options that you have. On Samsung devices, you can go pretty crazy and you can make it like 7x7 or something like that, or even more with good lock. So just more customization. So far, I've been talking about a lot of features that are not on stock OS or stock Android. And the point that I'm trying to make is that I feel like stock Android is a little overrated because it lacks so many basic features that other Android versions have. And I feel like a lot of people, it's almost like iPhone fans or iPhone users, they either ignore these features or they see them and they're like, oh, well, who needs that anyways? Because they don't have access to it on the device they love. You know, I feel like a lot of people haven't tried these features or they haven't really given them a chance. And because they're so familiar with what they're used to, they just automatically dismiss those things and don't really care about it. And yeah, I'm not saying that stock Android is bad. I think it's clean, it's good for what it is, but it definitely lacks some basic things. Like even just like going back to multitasking, like Google themselves, they should be the leaders in terms of multitasking and what you can do in Android. So the fact that you can only do split screen in such a limiting way is just like, I think people are going to watch the video and they're not going to take in what I'm saying, but like, let me just show you the example again one more time so you can really understand what I'm trying to say when it comes to split screen. And you might not care about split screen, but if you do, just take this in. So swipe up, tap the top to go into split screen, and you can only do split screen with the apps that are already open. So if you want to do split screen with two apps that are not open already in the background, then you literally have to go to one app and then go out of it, open the other app, make sure that they're both open in the background in your task switcher, and then you can now split screen with both of those apps. Whereas on other phones, as I said before, you can literally just swipe with 2 fingers and then choose any app that you want to go into split screen with. Or you can create app pairs. App pairs are coming, so that's good. But yeah, just like the fact that it takes so long to enter split screen is just crazy. Like let's say there's an app that I don't use too often, but when I do use it, I want to split screen with it. Like for example, a banking app, I want to split screen with a calculator. In order to do that, I gotta go and find that banking app, and then I gotta go and find the calculator app. Then I can split screen by tapping the top of the thing. On a Samsung device, I open one, 2 fingers, I'm into split screen with the other app. It's just very seamless, very simple, very smooth and fast. I don't think a lot of people really take in like just these small little quality of life things that like other versions of Android do that stock OS does not do. Like, yes, I understand you want it to be clean, no bloatware, no extra stuff that you don't want, but like the features, bro. And then in terms of bloatware, that's a whole nother conversation, but bloatware, like people really like make it over the top nowadays. Like, yes, there is bloatware. Bloatware is like things, apps that you don't use personally or that you don't want on your phone that you didn't ask for. I think every single phone has bloatware to some extent. Like even this Nothing phone. Nothing phones are very clean. It's supposed to be like stock Android, but you know, with Nothing's flavor on top of it. But even Nothing phones have some bloatware. It's not a lot, but it's there. Like these, for example, Google TV, all these Google apps that I don't necessarily use. I don't use Google One. I don't care about that app. Google TV, I definitely do not use that. And for some reason on Nothing phones, you cannot uninstall that. You can only disable it. So this is just an example of bloatware that is on, you know, all Pixel devices. Pixel devices come with Google TV pre-installed nowadays. So, you know, there's apps that you don't necessarily use, that you don't necessarily want, and they're on your device. That is bloatware. So you can't blame only one company and say like, oh, they're bloatware, blah, blah, blah. And especially because nowadays it's not even as bad as it used to be. be. Samsung devices, yes, they have a lot of apps. They have some duplicate apps. Like there's 2 messaging apps on it. One is the Samsung messaging app, the other is the Google messaging app. In the past, the extra apps on the Samsung phones would definitely slow it down and be an issue. But nowadays, you literally just tap and hold. You select all those apps all at one time and then uninstall or disable them. And then once you do that, it's done. It literally takes like 10 seconds and there's no more bloatware on your phone. There's no more apps that you don't want to see on your phone. So bloatware is not really, in my opinion, a big argument against other versions of Android when you compare stock OS to them. Again, I think that that's just another popular opinion. It's just something that people see other people saying and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's run with it. Popular opinions, they get thrown around, especially by bigger people, like bigger creators, and then all the people who watch them and consume that media and stuff like that, they consume it and then that's it. That's just law. That's biblical for a lot of people. So yeah, what I'm saying, I guess with me asking this question is kind of saying like, we need to start thinking critically. And I know it's not that serious. It's just phone software. It's really not that serious, right? It doesn't affect anybody's life when it comes to like one person liking a certain software more than the other software, or like saying that one software is the best. It doesn't really affect people's life like that. Like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But I don't know. I feel like as tech fans, we need to think more critically about the devices we use and what we say is the best and what we allow. Because like I said, stock Android is good, but there's no reason why it doesn't have these basic features like better multitasking and floating windows. There's no reason why you can't remove those 2 widgets on the home screen on Pixel devices. I feel like companies kind of get away with being lazy about certain things because we kind of just allow them. And you could say the same thing for Apple. There's no reason why iPhones don't have a lot of these extra features like split screen, basic feature. There's no reason why iPhones don't have that yet, because those are the most powerful phones. Apple says that every single year. The most powerful smartphone ever, for the first time ever. Apple says that all the time, but they lack a lot of basic features that even take advantage of that power of those phones. iPhones have smallest amount of RAM, and it's for a reason, because the software is not really doing that much. So it doesn't need that much RAM, right? There's not really that much flexibility and capability. But what I'm saying is that these devices, these products are put out like this at the bare minimum just to, meet the expectations, and that's it. Because we don't really complain or we don't really think too critically about what these companies are doing, we're kind of just letting them take advantage of us. So yeah, that's all I'm saying, I guess, with this question. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you agree that stock Android is overrated. Let me know if you think that I'm just saying BS. And yeah, I know people are gonna fight me. That's fine. I'm smiling, but it is what it is. That is it. We out. Peace.